Hello and welcome to my top 25 players to watch over the preseason games. It's George from Fantasy Take TV, and the preseason games start, I believe, on Thursday at 4 PM for you Victorians. Over here in SA, we're a bit behind, but that's okay. So I have lots of names here that I want to watch. A lot of similar names, a lot of different names as well to the video I did on value picks, but yeah, obviously here, I'm not going to include many. We're also going to include higher price players too. So before we get into it, not wearing the hat today, just thought I'd put that out there. So bold acceptance, don't go too harsh. I know the Discord jokes are out of control at this point, but have to move on with life. But anyway, we'll move on. Yes, we'll move on to the video rather. So the first player I'm watching is, number one has to be Nick Dacos. So the hype is gone up a notch again for mid-time in the preseason game, or the intra-club and best on ground, and apparently accumulated, apparently a bit quiet in the first quarter, but it just went absolutely nuts after that. So he's getting pretty hard to ignore in his ownership. I think it's a defensive pick, so he's in my team. So the last team review I did probably about a week ago, it's still the same that it is today, although I've swapped Ed Richards for Nick Dacos, but still watching those, and we'll actually probably speak about them very quickly. I'm sorting by ownership here, so that's not ideal, but yeah, Hayden Young's gone up a bit. I think he was 9-10% when I did a TikTok on a few undervalued players or under-owned players. But yeah, it's been done to death. See if he gets the kick in, see how he looks, see if he demands football a bit more. So he's one definitely watching. And then where is Edward Richards at? Oh no, he's not even 1%. Okay, he's 1%. So Dale, Richards, and Daniel are all 1, 2, and 2%. So yeah, again with Richards. So the new info here is, well, we saw Daniel play full inside mid, basically a bit of half forward in the intra-club. Well, I didn't see it, but that was what the report said. So as advertised during the preseason trainings, he was playing that role, and that's what he did. But six midfielders instead of 3 basically at the stoppage. So maybe he's more half forward. And then Adam Treloar has been injured for most of the preseason, and he played in the midfield and half forward as well, as far as I'm aware. Didn't play down back. So that means Dale and Richards have the back line to themselves, you would think. I don't know if that changes throughout the season, but I think that seems like the plan at this stage, and I think they will persist with Richards. And the interesting thing is Richards scored better in the last month of football than Dale. So is Dale actually the main man? You would think so, that he gets all the kick-ins, but I think it's just food for thought there. I'm curious on that one. A bit risky, but has the last buy, which might help flip him. So I definitely think he's underpriced, but is he going to score enough? Is he going to go, I don't know, probably 98, 100 plus is what you want from someone at that price. Who else we got? We go to the much cheaper players now. We'll go with Hunter Clark. So he's not really on my watch list, but I've seen his name pop up a bit. A few people have discussed this in the Discord, but not a whole lot. Not quite sure what his role is, but he was watching AFL Draft Experts video on value picks, and apparently I think it was his team reveal, and he was saying that he could really rack it up as a junior, and they might play him through the midfield. I'm not exactly sure what his role is. There's a lot of names that can go through that St Kilda midfield, and he's a bit injury prone, and in the photos of preseason, he doesn't look as buff as like a Nick Caulfield when you compare them together. So I'm a bit concerned. So he's not really on my radar, but I'm just curious if he can blow the lights out, because the talent is quite good with him. Another one that I've spoken about, Bose. What's his role? I think JD in the Discord posted something about the players lining up in Geelong's midfield. In their intro, there was a photo, and yeah, 6 names there because it's intra-club, 2 teams, and Bose was not in the midfield, but there was just 1 rotation. So I still have no idea what the hell was happening with Bose, but we'll hopefully find out. Another one I spoke about before, Nick Caulfield. So the new info here with Caulfield is he trained fully in match sim, and was in contact training. So before he had the contact fluoro cap on, that was off the last match sim that he played in, which is a good sign. So he's got a whole nother month of full training, hopefully. There was some reports saying he took a kick in or two. I'm not exactly sure, but that is a good sign. And then I think that's basically it for these players. Another one is Goda. So Goda did not play in the streamed North intra-club. He was dealing with a niggle, as far as I'm aware. Another one actually. So I think he might slip under the radar a bit. They got the Seawall back there, Hall, Bailey Scott, Goda as well, Taron Thomas if he comes back in. A lot of names there, so it's an interesting one, but he's one that had really big reps early in the preseason, and maybe he's been carrying a niggle since, so see if he's right to go. And then Connor McKenna, he's 41% owned. I've sort of just penciled him in. He's been playing in the ones at training, and it's just, is he ready to go after timeout on the game, timeout of the AFL? We're still in a professional system, so if he's named round 1, I don't see how you don't pick him. And it sounds like he's been down back at training. So we'll go to the midfield now. So yeah, those are probably the 6 main ones. Hunter Clark, not really interested in, to be honest, but the rest I think are big watches. And the 600k players, if I were to pick one, it's Jordan Dawson, based on what I saw in the intra-club, where he said he was going to play mostly down back, and that's what he did. And probably makes the Miller pick redundant, I think, if he's down back. Although some would say that he was already a terrible pick, but that's okay. So I've ruled him out as a starting team for Supercoach. Okay, so who are we watching in the midfield as I look at this? So the interesting thing with the midfield is people are going, do you pay up for your Olivers and your Laird? Or do you take the value in your Steele and McRae, and I'll probably throw Parrish and Mitchell and Green. Probably they're the main ones popping up. As much as I like Zach Merritt, I think he's going to cop a Finn McGuinness tag in round 1. So I don't really want to be on the end of that. And Brayshaw as well has a nice fixture, but it might cop Winhager round 1 or Owens. So we'll get those players up. Specifically, McRae's down to 15. Wow, that's very low. And Jack Steele, surely he's more than that. Have I missed him? There we go. So go with these two. So with McRae, played half forward in the intra-club from reports. It sounds like they were just giving Daniel and McLean more mid-opportunity. I know they might play Garcia if he's best 22, and then, West can go in there. But I'm not too sure where those players are at in terms of the pecking order and their best 22. And we've seen West play half forward okay. So these two, it's hard. I don't really have enough confidence in McRae, because when they're trying Daniel and McLean in the midfield, and I remember this, the 2021 grand final, McRae's CBAs were in the 50s, and he didn't have a single game in the 50s for the entire year. He was clear All-Australian that year. And I don't know, I just wonder, is Bevo just trying things? He wants to try a few things in the midfield, play McLean and Daniel a bit more in there. Even though Dunkley's out, Baz can always get more time in there. I think he was CBAs in the 50s. So have they just gone past playing McRae in the 70 to 80% CBAs? Is that going to come down to low 60s again? I'm not too sure. And when you're not sure, I tend to lean towards just let it play out and not start him and look at it as the season goes on. But the value is there. You think probably not going to do much worse than 111, but yeah, it's just hard to tell what the CBAs will be, and his coach is just a madman when it comes to magnets. And then Jack Steele, just want to see if he's looking fit and firing. Just a few dodgy reports that he was in non-contact training about a month and a half ago and before Christmas. So I don't really know what happened there, but it's enough for me to monitor the situation. So we'll just see how Jack Steele goes. Probably prefer Steele to McRae, just because it's a bit cheaper, and we know that his CBAs will probably be around 75 to 85, whereas McRae's could be much lower than that. So something to monitor. Okay, we'll go to the value ones. So Green and Mitchell. Mitchell, I think, has dropped 27. I think it used to be higher than that. I can't remember. I know in fantasy it's much higher. I think it's about 35, but different format. And then Tom Green's slowly rising a little bit. So Green has the game for it, but is he ready to run out games really well? Only 4th year, hasn't done a full season of it, but he does have the last bye and a really easy fixture, and probably has the keys to the midfield. I know Riley Beveridge was on the Traders podcast today and was speaking highly of Green, and he was one of the standouts in one of the, I think, an intra club or something like that, or I matched him. So he only heard good things on Green so far. So I have him at the moment. I'm not 100% confident, but I prefer him to Mitchell. I think I've called a bit on Mitchell. I'm just not too sure what he is anymore. Is he going to get a lot of outside ball? Because he had even in his like Brownlow days, he was getting a lot of outside ball, a lot of uncontested touches. I think he was getting like 35 a game. It's hard to see him getting near that, especially with lower time on ground in the Collingwood system. So it might hold him back a little bit. Maybe he'll be like a lot of stoppage work, but what's his outside game look like? You know, they don't stuff around with the ball like they did under Buckley. I thought Buckley was a good coach, but it was a lot of high possession down back. We saw that with De Goey taking all those marks, and when he nearly went 110 in the midfield. And I think the thing that's overlooked is he's about to turn 30, and that's past prime for midfielders. So can he be a top 8 midfielder in I guess it's an era of massively high scorers in the midfield, like a lot of good options like Miller and Green, Callum Mills. There's lots more as well. So is he going to be good enough for an M8? I'm not sure. And for that reason, I'm passing on him for now. But if he plays really, really insanely well and racks it up and looks great, then I'll consider him. But I'm leaning no on Tom Mitchell at the moment. So yeah, these four kind of considering, but I'm opting to pay up at this point just for a bit more assurance. So another one who I think he's low owned, 9%, 8%, is Dom Sheed. So what are the CBAs? So he did miss a intra-club because of a family member's wedding, as far as I'm aware. So another one we'll probably group him with is Jai Cully, having a big preseason. So Sheed, he can rotate half forward, he can rotate on a wing. And you look at the names that can go through there. So you got Sheed and Cully. Tim Kelly will probably be the number one in there. Jinbi, Shui, and Yo. Sounds like they're going to do some sort of rotation stuff in there. But I think Yo will be more midfield if he's fit and firing. Just depends what they want to do. They have enough players that can play down back at West Coast. So yeah, who leads those CBAs? So I think Kelly won. Is it Sheed or Cully at number 2? Because they gave Cully a lot of CBAs last year, including an injury game. So it was 50% including an injury game, and he's had a big preseason. So I wouldn't be surprised if Cully's starting in the first CBA rotation, or he might start off the bench, be one of the main guys in there. So I want to see what they do with him. Because if I see a bit of half forward starting on a wing for Sheed, I would have bought that in preseason. But apparently he's been really good. And I also did read Cully's spent a little time forward on Big Footy today, just a training report, but I do expect him to be majority mid, so something to keep an eye on. Okay, who else we got? Finn Callahan. This is actually the last name I have in the midfield. So this is an interesting one. Apparently been really good in the preseason, had it been an interrupted preseason as well, but yeah, see how he goes. Been racking it up, I think, at training or in match sim or something like that, looking really good. But yeah, the interrupted preseason does worry me a bit, and it sounds like the top 4 for CBAs will be Kelly, Cogs, Perryman, and Green. Kelly can always go a bit on a wing, and Perryman can kind of play anywhere. So I think Cogs and Green will be the 1 and 2. So that means Callahan, maybe at best 5th for mid rotations, if he gets any. So something to keep an eye on. Talent's there. He's pretty cheap. But yeah, wing roll's not super great, and probably if he's on the wing for, I don't know, most of the game, I'd expect an average somewhere in the 70s for his talent. So that's barely good enough, probably not. I think we can do better. Might as well save money on a rookie, I think, but depends what's available. So that's all for my midfielders that I'm watching. I've put a line through Warple. I think the concern with Warple is, does Mitchell see him as the future? And yeah, the training reports weren't great the other day, but we'll give him another go. But yeah, I think his job security is in a bit of danger because they have more talented players on the list, and why wouldn't they use them over Warple, who apparently can't kick at all? So Ruck's pretty much penciled Marshall in, so I will watch him, but he's not really high on the watch list. I think it's, yeah, just one I've penciled in. I won't be going anyone that's done a hamstring in preseason. And I don't really want to consider Grundy because you don't want to be that guy with Grundy. He rocks in week 1 for the most part, scores 100, you're happy. Next week, well, Max Gaun's a better ruck, we need him, maybe he's the better matchup. Grundy plays more forward, you cop a 60 and you're like, well, this isn't good. I don't want to be in that position. So for me, it's Jerome and Radaglia that I'm watching. No to Lysette and Tickle. I don't know what sort of shenanigans Ken will pull. Even though Lysette seems their clear number 1, they can always chop and change stuff and mess with the ruck time. I don't want to sweat on that every week, so that's not for me. So these two are the two I'm considering for the other spot for Rowan Marshall, and at this stage, it's hard to see it not being Wits. We're doing the Ruck podcast this week on the members' website, so if you're a member, you can listen to that, but yeah, I think enough has been spoken on Wits on my end. Concerned about the price drop, but more concerned with the issues of the other picks, so that's where we're at. Not using a trade in the ruck, I think this is your best chance. But yeah, expect you will get him cheaper. Now the forwards. Now I've sort of penciled in the Fab 4, I guess you want to say. Maybe Butters you can add in as the 5th, but durability means that I will look elsewhere. So Dunkley, Taranto, Cogs, and Rosie. I've penciled those in, so happy to pick them. Throw on McLean, that's 5 of your 6 forwards done. I think that'll be the most popular setup. And then who do you pick in that F5 spot? But maybe you don't like a Taranto or a Cogs, like that's fine. But for me, I'm very happy with them. So who do we fill this spot in with? So I have a few names here. Is he forward, Max Holmes? No, he's mid only. Okay, I thought he was forward. It'd probably be expensive, but yeah, I'll touch on Max Holmes. Yeah, Danger was singing his praises early in the preseason. Apparently might play a bit inside. Did get a bit of inside time last year. I think in that prelim final before he did his hammy, he was on like 100 at halftime or one of those games. So yeah, they're really excited about him. Apparently he's had a good preseason. Bit of injury risk. Did the hammy last year. Same with Cully late last year. Did the hammy. So a little bit concerning there. But with mid prices, you can give them a bit more leeway. You only need them for, I don't know, 7-8 rounds or something. Hopefully longer though, like a Hopper. You'd want Hopper to the buys. So he's one to watch. Yeah. I want to add another player in the midfield actually. Sam Berry. Now, it's hard. The price is awkward, I guess, and he's probably very, very low chance to be a keeper, but the number one standout at the Crows training this preseason has been Sam Berry. And I think in his practice game, he scored about a 109, or he scored 109 fantasy. Someone did the stats on Big 40. So it would have been 84% of a real game time. So if you scale that up, it would have been, I don't know, 125 or something that he would have gotten. It is an intra-club, so it's whatever. So can't take too much out of it. But he's looked like he's improved. He's able to find the ball a bit more, and he's still got that tackle game. I think he's got a bit more room as well to increase his time on ground. So that's something to look at maybe for other formats. But I just think for a guy that averages the most tackles in the AFL, I think it's something to monitor. And there's a few, like in preseason, he said he didn't train much in off-season last year. This season, he said he spent all off-season, as in like the 8-week break or whatever they get off after the season. He spent the whole time training apparently, or something like that. So yeah, that was in an interview with him. So I'm quite excited as a Crow supporter, but you got to take the red, white, and blue glasses off when looking at some of these players. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think he can do 100 this year. Is that enough at the price? It's just an awkward no man's land sort of thing. So has the third buy round, so you could flip him then, but you're probably better off saving your money and going to like a Sheed where you know that you're going to have to trade him at some point and save money. So yeah. Forwards. Okay, so my number one player here, and this has come from the North Intra Club, is TP28, Tom Powell. So we know if you played Supercoach in 2021, you would know that this guy was one of the best rookies for that year. I think he burnt out about halfway through the year, but he almost reached 400k from memory. And he's currently priced at 306k. And from what I've read, he's had some hip issues. He's had osteitis pubis or some sort of groin issues towards the start of last year, so maybe he never got going, interrupted preseason. I'm not exactly sure, but Liam Shields was on the commentary of this game, and he was saying that he's put on, I've heard 5, 6, 7, 8, I've heard every sort of number, but he's put on a lot of weight, basically, of muscle. He's a big lad, say he put on 6 kilos. Shields did say that he can play a bit inside and on the wing. So CBAs would have been super high, but in this preseason, in the North preseason game, we want to see the CBAs of how does it work with Cunnington. So they've said that Cunnington will be a mid and a target up forward, which he did really well. Phillips can play forward or go half forward. So what does that CBA mix look like? You would think Elder use the mainstay, and I wonder if Simpkin can go forward a bit as well, or play half forward. So I wonder if that happens as well. And LDU, Simpkin, Powell, Phillips, I'm missing somebody, Cunnington. So it's like those 5, and you think LDU will be in there for the most part. So a fair bit of versatility in there. I think they were saying Larky or Zerha, one of the two, I can't remember, doing a bit of CBA work. I expect that'll be like a De Goey sort of thing where you turn the CBA and then you just go back to your position up forward. So maybe Paul Curtis as well can have some rotations in there. He's looking really good. Had a few nice fend offs in that intra-club game. So I watched the intra-club game. I was really impressed with Powell. From memory, his SNFL numbers from 4 SNFL games was about 86, 84 average in fantasy, which is more than Horn Francis, but only 4 games. And I think his under 18s were like 150, something ridiculous like that. So he can really find the pill. And sounds like he's raring to go and had a massive off season. So he's an interesting one. But at 300k, you probably want 90 average. And can he do that with all those names ahead of him? It's a really tough ask, but I'm not going to put a ceiling on him. I think he's a really exciting prospect and one I'm just keen to watch. So yeah, tough ask, but a lot of talent to work with and looks fantastic so far. Next player we have is, I've spoken too much about Flanders, but again, we want to see the role. I'm a bit worried there's going to be too much forward time and just see what happens with David Swallow. So I think Flanders has been done to death at this point, but yeah, been good in preseason games. And I think the issue is, will Tuke Miller, I doubt, plays with his hamstring complaint or tightness. So is he ready to go? Was it just precautionary and he'll play? I'm not too sure. I mean, if you're Gold Coast, you're probably thinking, well, we can give a bit more opportunity to like a Davies or Flanders, give them more exposure and see how they go, see how they've come along in the preseason in the midfield, and that might give us a false economy onto what the role actually looks like for these guys. So yeah, I'm on to that, I guess, but he's one I'm keen to watch. Oscar Allen, he's had a hamstring complaint, a minor one, so he was rested from what I read, which is not good. We do not like that at all. I'd certainly rather field Allen than any of the forward rookies so far, but it's extra 90k, so that's a lot of money, so you kind of weighing that up, but at least you get job security and no sub risk and all that come with him. I think he can do 70, which would be fine when he's priced at 38. Next player is, I've got Henry written twice, and I just realised why that's written twice. Ollie Henry's been, I can't spell Ollie. Yeah, that confused me. So Oliver Henry has been playing halfback from reports, and apparently he's been killing it. So he's an interesting one. Does that role stick? I know they got Tom Hawkins up forward, so what does that mean when he comes back? Which it wouldn't affect him too much, you'd think, because he'd be forward if covering for or helping cover for Hawkins. But I think they're going to use like a Shannon Neal or something like that. I'm not too sure, but regardless, I don't think Hawkins will be too far away from his return from injury. But yeah, Ollie Henry playing halfback, apparently killing it. Geelong have been rather quiet on their players. Haven't really heard too much. Heard a bit on Max Holmes, heard a bit on Radigalia, and yeah, a bit on Henry as well, but haven't really seen anything. So yeah, he's an interesting one. See if that role holds, see if he calls for the ball lots. I know they got Duncan, they got Stewart, they got Tui back there. So how does he actually fit in and how much ball does he actually get? So that seems like a bit of a hurdle. But you're always interested when you see these sort of role changes. Yeah, and again, I guess I said Henry. So I think JD mentioned Liam Henry in one of his videos. But yeah, apparently put on a fair bit of muscle this off-season and been racking it up on a wing. Is he best 22? They got O'Driscoll, I think, has had an interrupted preseason. They got Aish. Even Chapman could go up onto a wing if they wanted. No Akers, so see what happens there. And you got some of their mids can also, like Brayshaw, can rotate on a wing, although they want him more inside. So, yeah, he could be a sub candidate for sure. So that's a little bit of a worry, but he's very cheap, 200k. I'll probably take Allen over him just for the assurance and less speculative, but yeah, for his price, he could be an interesting one. So on a wing, realistically, what are you going to do? Like 75 at best. So yeah, not for a player that hasn't really done it before. So it's a very tough ask. So yeah, it'd be worth watching, I think, but not overly optimistic. The last one, I don't think he's best 22, but Aaron Francis. I think I've heard some good things out of Sydney that that he might get opportunity at some point. Is it round 1? I don't know. I know they got the McCartan boys and Rampy back there, so can they actually fit him in? So I think they want him down back, but he can always go forward if they get injuries. I think that's what they said when they recruited him, but it sounds like he's been training down back. So they're my players that I'm keen to watch over the preseason. The one probably most keen to watch, probably Ed Richards and Tom Powell, I think, and probably Flanders as well. Richards seems a little risky though. I think a lot of people are going to opt for a Dacos or a Young or both, and if they do really well and Richards doesn't, then we're in a bit of trouble. But I think Richards is going to be the clear number 2. Maybe he might be even number 1 out of defense, because yeah, he was that main guy, or best scorer, put it that way, and took lots of marks in that hot patch that he had in the last month or so. So it's an interesting one. In terms of players that are in my team at the moment, I've just got Dacos, Young, Caulfield, just Green here, I think. Highly considering Sheed, but I don't know how to fit him in. I've got Wits, got Flanders, and that's it. But yeah, this Flanders or Powell spot, leaning between those, looking at those two at the moment, but maybe they don't get enough CBAs or enough time around the ball, so that's a little bit of a concern. But I do remember Powell in 2021. I think he had a patch with low CBAs. He had like a 5-week average of 90 or something. Just made heaps of bank. So keen to watch him. And of course, really excited to see Sam Berry's development, but more from a Crows perspective. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Let me know who you are watching in the preseason games. And yeah, very exciting that the games are just around the corner. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.